Hello, oh, hello, everybody. I can't even talk this morning. Get my tongue tied. Okay, what we're doing, we're going to make some spaghetti sauce. I'm fixing me some lunch, and it's going to consist of homemade spaghetti sauce with my tomatoes, my peppers, my onions, and basil, and stuff that I got out of my garden. But first I wanted to show you how to peel your tomatoes without losing a bunch of your tomato. You know, I'm not peeling with a knife. I've got a pot of water boiling here. And what I'm going to do is pick out some of my ripest tomatoes, and I'm going to put them right in this boiling, scalding hot water. That not only really sanitizes your tomatoes, but you'll be able to peel them real easy, and I'm going to show you that. Now, we're not cooking them. We're just fixing them so we can peel them real easy. I hate to put this big one in there. It's such a nice one. So I may just put all these little ones. I picked a bunch of them in the garden this morning. Just break the stem off, and then just pop them right in this scalding water. I don't think I'm going to put my little cherry tomatoes in there. I'm going to save them for salad. I'll put those in a little bowl and get them out of this one, because this is where I'm going to put all of my peelings. I'm going to put them in this container until I can put them in the compost. I like these little tomatoes just to pop them right in my green salad. So that's what I'm going to do with them. And I might not even use this tomato. It's such a pretty one, I hate to put it in the sauce, if you know what I mean. But now they've been in the boiling water. I'm just going to leave them sit there for a few minutes. Woo, that's hot. Now what's going to happen? They're not going to cook, but what's going to happen, the peeling is going to separate from the tomato. And when I take them out and get rid of the hot water and run cool water in there, the peeling will just come right off. Or that is supposed to be what's going to happen. Some of them are not staying under the water, but I don't think that's going to be a problem. But bring your water to a boil, and then pop your tomatoes in. Keep the heat on. Pop your tomatoes in until you know it's still boiling, because the tomatoes will cool the water down. So leave your burner on when you add your tomatoes. Keep it to the boiling point. Once your tomatoes are in there and it's all heated up, you can turn the burner off and just let them sit there for a minute or two. And then we're going to take them out, and I'll show you how to peel them. That peeling should come right off. And you don't even have to use a knife to peel them. And it saves a lot of your tomato. You're not wasting a lot of your tomato by peeling it. And I've already got pots and stuff over here to make my sauce. I think I'm going to make my sauce in a pot, because if I use a pan, it's going to splatter everywhere. You know how tomato sauce is. When it gets thick, you turn your burner down, but it still like bubbles up and it pops through, and it will splatter that tomato juice everywhere. So I'm going to fix it in this. I'm going to boil my noodles in this little pot, because I'm not going to fix a ton of noodles. So, and let's see where my noodles are. I forgot to get my noodles out. I'm going to use my wide egg noodles. I've got enough of those left that I'm going to put in that pot, and I'm going to cook them. Or I may end up making my sauce in this big one. No, I'll boil my noodles in this when I get my tomatoes out. I think that'll work better. I may not even use the smallest one. May make my sauce in this one because it's kind of deep. And you can still see what goes in it, so. But I got a whole bunch of basil here from the garden. I've got some sausage that I'm going to make a sausage spaghetti. Put some olive oil in there. I think they've been in there long enough. I'm going to take my pot over here. I'm going to start running cold water in my tomatoes. I think this bowl will be big enough to put them in. And you may have to use a knife just to start the peeling. And I usually do that up here around where the stem was. But you can see that peeling just peels right off. Real thin, and you're not losing a bunch of your tomato. I cut that dark stem part out. But that peeling will slide right off. And then I'm going to cut it up a little bit. Because I want to cook my sausage and my onions and stuff like that for my sauce before I put my tomatoes in there. But I know you can enlarge your screen and you can see that how easy that peeling is coming off. I hate to keep moving the camera because then usually I get things all messed up. That mold may not be big enough. But don't fret with trying to peel your tomato with a knife because you're just going to lose part of your tomato. Just put them in a little bit of boiling water like I did, and that peeling will come right off. And then I cut them in fourths, put them in a bowl till I get ready to put them in the pan to cook my tomatoes. I mean, that just slid right off. Didn't even have to use the knife on the peeling. I had the knife on just the stem part, trying to get that out. I had another video I was going to do at this time, but my tomatoes were getting so ripe, I said, well, I got to do this video before my tomatoes are too ripe. But yeah, I just basically the only thing I'm doing with the knife is cutting the stem out, that dark section, and just cutting my tomatoes in quarters so I can put them in the pot to cook them, to make my sauce. And it makes the peeling of your tomatoes so much faster. It's so much easier. I think I got just about the right amount of tomatoes to make my sauce, y'all. Now what I'm going to do is put that pot back on to cook my noodles. And see, that was all of the peeling that came off of my tomatoes. You don't waste a bunch of your tomato in the peeling them. Like I said, I'm going to refill this with water, clean water. Then I'm going to put it on over there to cook my noodles in. Go ahead and get that back burner on. I'm going to also put a little bit of olive oil in there in the water, just so later the noodles don't stick. I'm going to put a little bit of salt, just to salt the water just a tiny bit. That's plenty. Now I'm going to start on my sauce. First off, like I said, I've got some pork sausage, and I need to use it up. I mean, it's perfectly fine, but I do need to use it up. And my mama, she always made spaghetti sauce with either hamburger or sausage. So we're making it with sausage. I apologize for the phone. I forgot to unplug the phone. One ringy dingy, two ringy dingies, three ringy dingies. You remember that old that show? What was it? I think she ended up being on Hee Haw show. That lady that was supposed to be the telephone operator. I used to get so tickled at her. But you can use ground beef or ground sausage to make spaghetti sauce. It doesn't matter. You can use either one. And this one has less fat in it. Doesn't have quite as much fat in it as some of the pork sausages. That's why I like to buy it. Clean that off. Get my hands cleaned off. Because I'm going to chop up my onions and I'm going to brown my onions with my sausage. And I've got a little bit of the leek I mean, not leek, but Egyptian walking onion that I cut the other day. I'm going to go ahead and use up part of that. Take off some of the outer shell because sometimes the outer part gets a little bit tough on these Egyptian walking onions. So it helps to take out the outside of them. But the Egyptian walking onions look kind of like a leek when you pull them. And what I can do is cut this in quarters. And then when I slice it down, it's going to be already like it's chopped. All of that part will go in the compost. And I've got this onion that was, that I used in my salsa. I only used half of it. I'm just going to slice part of it up. I'm not chopping it. I mean, you can chop yours, but this saves time, and I don't mind my onions being in a little bigger piece. They're going to cook down anyway, so it really doesn't matter. But this is for some of you busy cooks, that work, and you don't want to get out all these chopping boards and do all this extra work. So that basically is going to end up being about a whole onion, counting the walking onion that I put in there and now this half of a white onion. And I've got the rest of my bell pepper. Whoop. Just dropped my seasoning in the sink, y'all. Good thing the lid was on really good and tight. But I'm going to go ahead and put part of my pepper in there. And again, I'm just going to chop it up, like this. It'll cook down. I mean, you can get your cutting board out. You can cut your heart away. I'm just not going to take the time to do it. I don't want my video being any longer than it has to be. I'm going to put about half of this bell pepper that's left. Or I may put all of it in there. Because there was only about a half a bell pepper here. It was just a big bell pepper. And if you want, you can saute yours in a frying pan. You got a nice deep frying pan that your sauce is not going to splatter out everywhere. Go ahead and use it. I prefer to use the pot because it'll brown just as good in the pot. And it doesn't splatter as bad. And there I got plenty of seed to save if I want to save the seed to plant for next year. You know, this is just a way of saving from dirtying so much in your kitchen, especially if you're a working person and you don't want a whole bunch to clean up. Just chop your stuff right over your pot and be done with it. Now I'm not going to add my garlic yet, and I'm not going to add my basil yet. And my seasonings, I'll wait until I add my tomatoes in there before I add those. But I put all my vegetable scraps, you know, the onion scraps, the pepper, all of that good stuff, I put in my compost bucket I've got down over here. Well, here, I'll show you. I just take the lid off of it, and I do. You can buy liners for your little compost bucket that you can keep in the house, you know, so you can do this at meal times and not have to run out every time. You can buy liners for it. I ordered liners one time and they never did come, but they charged me for them. So after that I stopped ordering them. I don't know if I want to put my seed in there or not. If I put my seed in there, I'll have tons of pepper plants growing in my compost. But I'm going to put my tomato peelings in there. All of that stuff you get, you know, like cucumber peelings, potato peelings, anything that you want to go with the compost, just put in there. Put you a shopping bag. This is just a Walmart shopping bag that I line my bucket with. I try to make sure there's no holes in it. That way when I go to empty this, I don't have a bunch of liquid and stuff stuck to the inside of my little bin. I can just lift that bag out, dump it in my compost pile, rinse out my little bucket, and put a liner back in it, put the lid on it, and I'm good to go again. So easy to clean that way. But that's just a little tip if you have one of those little compost containers that you keep in your kitchen. And if you don't have that, if you just put a big bowl or a pot or something like that in your kitchen, and dump all your scraps in that when you're cooking, that'll work too. Then you just take it out when you get finished. Got to turn this heat up because it's not browning. And I want my sausage to brown. I'm going to turn the heat down on that because it's boiling. And I'm not ready to cook my noodles yet. I'll spill some of that tomato juice in there. Want to get it out before it burns in the burner. Then it'll be twice as hard to get out. I haven't got all my clean dishes even put up yet today. I've been busy. I'll get them put up though when I get this done. When I get my spaghetti done, or my spaghetti sauce, I mean, you know, you can use spaghetti noodles, you can use the wide egg noodles like I'm going to use. You can use pasta noodles, macaroni noodles, any type of pasta noodle you want. They're all the same thing basically. They're all noodles. And I know I've got to get this faucet fixed. Thank goodness the drip is not to where it gets into my counter. Otherwise I would have a problem. It's just a leaky faucet. Probably the O-rings or something like that in the handle of the faucet. Now I can add my garlic salt. I'm not going to add regular salt, but I will add the garlic salt while it's frying. Or while it's sauteing and browning and doing its thing. And that should be enough of that. I hope you can see in my pot. I'm really not going to need this pot, so I can get that out of the way. But I will need the lid for this one, because I will cover it when I get all the tomatoes and the spices in there, and then I'll let it simmer a little bit to finish cooking. Oh, I forgot a piece of onion. I've probably got enough in there anyway. That was the part of that walking onion. Ooh, the outside of it is a little testy. Turn it up high and maybe we can get this to go and we can get it browning. But the most important thing is not my noodles. Y'all can cook any kind of noodles you want. The main part of this video is my sauce. It's fixing my tomato sauce. Spaghetti sauce or whatever you want to call it. And I know my AC will constantly run because it's heating up in here with just the burner on. I got this burner almost wide open. But you can see how it's cooking. You can see in that pot. It's hot and muggy, y'all, after all that rain we got yesterday. And it was still sprinkling rain out there this morning. I went out there and did a video in the garden update, and it was sprinkling rain on me then. So yeah, we're just going to cook this until a little bit of the onions cook clear. The peppers look like they're cooking down a little bit. And the sausage is browning a little. Because it'll bring out the better flavor in the sausage if you brown it just a tiny bit. And then add your tomatoes. Put it right there. At this point, I can add my crushed garlic. Now you can add fresh garlic if you have it. I didn't want to go to the trouble to chop any of that up. Or not add it. That's up to you. Totally up to you. I've got a little bit of Italian seasoning. I'm going to put about half a teaspoon of that in there. That's bay leaves. I got onions powder. And even though I put onions, fresh onions in there, I'm adding a little bit of onion powder because it brings out a better taste in your recipe if you add it. I got steam going up in there. Okay, now I'm going to dump in my tomatoes. If I can do it without putting them all over the stove. And I did not turn my burner down when I first put them in there, because the tomatoes are cold and I wanted it to stay piping hot so it didn't cool down too much. Now I've also got my basil, my fresh basil. I'm just going to add it, break it up with my fingers, add it in. I love basil, so you know I usually put quite a bit in mine. It's up to you how much you put in. Now, I'm also going to add a bay leaf. If you don't have bay leaves, don't worry about it. Don't have to add them. But I grew up with my mom always putting at least one bay leaf in our spaghetti sauce. So that's what I'm adding. Now all I'm going to do is put the lid on, let it come to a simmering boil, and leave it at a simmering boil until my spaghetti sauce is cooked, y'all. And I'll bring you back and we'll finish our noodles and serve lunch. I'm sorry, but the camera turned off on when I was just getting ready to turn it on, and it surprised me. My face was right up in there. But anyway, my sauce has been cooking for about an hour, and it is perfectly done. Now, a lot of people at this point, if you didn't put sausage in it like I did, will take either put it in a blender and just liquefy it because they don't want lumps in their spaghetti sauce. I don't mind lumps in my spaghetti sauce, so I'll leave it like it is. I'm just going to turn the heat off, and I'm going to turn that back over here. I'm going to go ahead and put my noodles in. I got my water boiling already. Go ahead and use all of them because it's just a half. Oh, I gotta turn this off because it makes too much racket. I was doing that so it wouldn't put so much heat in the house and keep my AC running. So that fan, that exhaust fan was running the whole time my sauce was cooking. But we'll get this done and I'll drain it. Fix me a plate of spaghetti with egg noodles, white egg noodles. And I think I'm going to put a little bit of mozzarella cheese sprinkled on top. I love cheeses on my spaghetti. Or pasta noodles or whatever I fix. So I'm going to use mozzarella on this. Just sprinkle the top when I put it in my plate. And I'm going to use a little plate because I don't want a great big one. But hopefully it's not going to take too long for these to cook. Now what I did as well is I added a tablespoon of sugar to my sauce when I checked it a few minutes ago. So, you know, that's an option. You can either add a little bit of sugar or not. That's totally up to you. I like a little bit of sugar in mine. I don't want it really sweet, but I want it just a little bit. It takes a little bit of the tartness out of the tomato. So I always like to add just a little bit of that. And like I said, if you don't like a lumpy sauce, even with the meat in there, you can put it in a blender, blend it up a little bit, and you have no lumps in your sauce. I don't mind it, and I prefer it with lumps since I put sausage in there. It's going to take just a couple of minutes for these noodles to cook because I didn't have it on a wide open heat when I added my noodles, but hopefully they'll cook fast enough. But your sauce is just that easy to make. And if you like to do it, you can store leftover noodles separately, let them cool off. Put a little bit of oil, your olive oil in your noodles so they don't stick together. And then put them in a baggie and just store them in your refrigerator. And then you can do your sauce. If you know your leftover sauce, you can put it in a jar or some kind of a plastic container and then put that in the refrigerator and store it that way. So you don't have to mix it together to store it. Some people don't like to mix it to store it. Sometimes I mix it and store it. Sometimes I'll just drain the noodles and put them in a separate bag and put my sauce in a separate container. But that's an option. It depends on you, your preference, which way you want to do that. I may not have enough water in here. But I usually cook mine al dente because I know they'll continue cooking a little bit. I really don't want to add cold water. Some people do. I mean, I can do that. I might do that just to cool it down a tiny bit. But when you rinse your noodles with cold water, that stops the cooking process. But eventually, if you do mix your noodles with your sauce, your noodles will soak up a lot of your sauce. And that's one reason a lot of people like to store leftover noodles separately is so they keep a little bit of their sauce liquid, it doesn't all soak up in the noodle. So it's your option to do that, like I said. And some people like to drain it out in a colander. Now you can do that, or you can do like I always do and just drain it in your pot. I think I'll get my colander this time if I can get it out of my cabinet. I've got a Tupperware colander I've had for many, many years, along with a lot of the bowls I still have from Tupperware. Tupperware is a good product if you have a chance to buy Tupperware. I know some people say you can't find Tupperware anymore, but I found it online several places, so you can buy it. It's just not readily available in stores, and it never was. You always had to go through a dealer or one of their Tupperware sales reps that used to do the Tupperware parties to sell it. I'm going to try to get one of those noodles out. I don't know how fast they're going to cook, so I'm going to test one. That's pretty much el dente, so cook it a little bit more. Just a tiny bit more. I'm getting hungry, y'all. Maybe I will put it in a big plate because it looks better in a big plate. Because it wants to spread out on the plate whenever you put it in there. Sometimes I like to put it in a serving bowl. One like this. And my bowls don't match, but usually that's the way I like to do it. Anything with a sauce that's kind of liquidy or runny, I like to serve it like this. Put it in an individual bowl right on your plate. That way you have room for your toast on the side, your garlic bread. I'm not going to fix garlic bread, but garlic bread is an option. I have enough of carbohydrates in the noodles. And it's supposed to be egg noodles, so I don't know. We'll see. Check them again because they look like they're getting done. I could eat those noodles just with butter on them. I was debating whether to cook the egg noodles, the spaghetti noodles, linguine noodles, or like even the elbow pasta noodles you can cook and do this. Any of the noodles, any of the pastas you can serve with spaghetti sauce. I mean, there's no limit. It's just what you want to do. I'm going to turn that off. I'm going to get my pot holder. And I'm going to come over here and pour it in my colander. Need to take that drain out of there because it has a habit of slipping down in there, and it locks the drain and doesn't let the liquid go through. Now here is where too you can put olive oil on your noodles if you don't want to run cold water on them. And that will prevent them from sticking. And since I cook them al dente, if you know what that is, it's where they're not quite done. They're still just a little bit undercooked. Him right there. See if I can get some of these noodles in this bowl, like this. Because I want my noodles to stay hot. I don't want my noodles cold, because then it's going to make my pasta dish cold. And I like my pasta to be hot. I put my sauce right over my noodles. And then I want to put my cheese on my sauce, because if your noodles are still hot, your sauce is still hot, it's going to kind of melt your cheese. And I can let these cool down, and I can store them in a separate container. Or you can put them in a casserole dish, pour your sauce on them. But it looks like I've got a little bit more sauce than I have pasta noodles. So what I'll probably do is store that separately and store my noodles separately in a baggie. But here you go, y'all. Here is my lunch today. And I usually leave the bay leaf in until I put the sauce in your bowl. And then if you end up with the bay leaf, I take the bay leaf out and just throw it away. But I leave it in for now because I want it to. The only problem with the mozzarella cheese, it does get stringy. So y'all just take a bite of my spaghetti sauce with egg noodles. Don't that look good? That stringy cheese. That is so good, y'all. Those fresh tomatoes have a taste unbelievable. And that would be great with a little bit of Parmesan cheese sprinkled on it. Mozzarella. Any of the Italian cheeses would be great. Even cheddar cheese would be good on this. It's up to you. So there you go, y'all. There is my fresh tomato sauce with egg noodles right out of the garden. So y'all fix this recipe and enjoy. There you go. Don't that look good? Oh my God, it looks good. Y'all have a blessed day. Please like, share, and subscribe to my videos, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye now. Love y'all.